do nothing. They'll destroy us.
Ask yourself, what will you sacrifice for what you believe?
Hello again, and this is a review of the latest Thor film, Thor 2, Thor the Dark World. I'm going to try and make this one real quick. I've only just come back from seeing the film today. It's October 30th, 2013. The film has come out in Britain. It's not out in America yet. But anyway, you don't want to know that. You want to know how the film was. Well, I thought it was pretty good. In a similar kind of tone to all the other films, all the other Avengers-related films. I'm not going to give any spoilers out in this review. I'm just going to kind of go over a few pointers. The sense of humour in it I thought was really good. It wasn't too kind of dumb. Some of it was quite subtle as well. Just little things like there's a funny bit in it where Thor is like at somebody's flat in England and he just kind of hangs his hammer up on a coat hanger, which I found that quite funny. There's another bit in the film where he's on like the London Underground and the train kind of stops and this woman kind of like falls against him and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, kind of thing. It was kind of funny. It was like subtle. Yeah, overall, very good film, very entertaining. It wasn't, well, it was a bit complicated. It was fairly hard to follow in some ways, but not too complicated. I mean, if you've seen the first one and you kind of followed that, you'll follow this one quite easy as well. It was a nice mixture of sort of sci-fi and sort of sense of humour. Visually, I think it was quite different to the first one. It was a different director to the first film, so that probably has a lot to do with it as well. But a lot of the same actors returned, the same characters, obviously. There's enough references to the Avengers in this film as well. It's probably about the same as you had in Iron Man 3. They kind of played it down a bit, so they didn't want it to be a sequel to the Avengers, but it was more of a sequel to the first Thor film rather than a sequel to the Avengers. But there's plenty of references in there. A lot of them are in the trailer anyway, so if you've seen the trailer, you'll probably know what to expect. Like I say, I'm not going to give spoilers away, but I will say that there is an Avenger that appears in this film other than Thor. It's one of the Avengers from the other film. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I'm going to let you see for yourself. But it's not after the credits. I'll get to the after credits bit in a minute. But it is one of the main Avengers. It's not Hawkeye or Black Widow. But that only really leaves three. It's either Captain America, Hulk, or Iron Man. And I'm not going to tell you which one it is. It kind of comes out of nowhere and it only lasts for about 15 seconds at the most. And technically it's not an appearance, but it is, which kind of sounds a bit weird, but you'll have to just watch the film because I'm not going to give that away. But it was nice and it was unexpected, so and it's not in the after credits bit, but I will talk about that now. Actually, there are two bits after credits similar to the Avengers. So there's a bit sort of halfway through the credits or part of the way through, which I thought was awesome, and I'll get onto that in a minute. Will be kind of a bit of a spoiler there, but I'll warn you in advance. And there's another bit straight after the credits of like completely finished. I won't tell you what that is. It's kind of a comedy bit, but yeah, it was quite good. So the credits didn't seem to be as long as they were for Iron Man 3. A lot of people stayed back knowing, these films all have bits after the credits, apart from the Incredible Hulk. And the credits for Iron Man, I'm sure they were just taking the piss. They went on for like 2 hours, the whole credits, and we're like waiting for it. But this one didn't feel as long anyway. So, but yeah, like I said, there's not much I can say really without giving spoilers away, which I don't want to do and I'm not gonna do, other than the bit into the credits. So I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say, apart from the bit I'm going to spoil. So if you don't want spoilers, turn this video off now or come back to it after you've seen the film. Right, in the end credits, this is the first bit into it. Like I said, there are two bits. There's one part of the way through and one after, and it's the bit that's part of the way through. You have two of the characters, the warriors from from Asgard that are friends with Thor. they go to this strange person's like lair or whatever, and it's played by Benicio del Toro, and he's introduced as the Collector. And they tell him they're giving him something for him to look after, because 2 Infinity Stones, that's how they call it, having 2 Infinity Stones together in Odin's vault is a bit dangerous. It's kind of confusing because they refer to one of the Infinity Stones as the Tesseract.
The Tesseract is misbehaving.
That's supposed to be funny?
No, it's not funny at all. The Tesseract is not only active, she's behaving.
I assume you pulled the plug.
She's an energy source. We turn off the power, she turns it back on. If she reaches peak level...
We prepared for this, Doctor. Harnessing energy from space.
We don't have the harness. My calculations are far from complete. And she's throwing off interference, radiation. Nothing harmful, low levels of gamma radiation.
That can be harmful.
Which in the comics, the Tesseract is known as the Cosmic Cube, and it's not one of the Infinity Stones, and I'll explain what the Infinity Stones are in a minute. But in this film, from what I gathered, from what I understood, from what they were saying, the Tesseract, which we've seen in the Avengers, is an Infinity Stone, one of 6. And so they're giving the other Infinity Stone, because they have 2, Odin has 2 in his vault, to this guy called the Collector, who's played by Benicio del Toro, and he's only in this bit in the film. Now he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is the film that's going to come between Captain America 2 next year and Avengers 2 in 2015. So I believe Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out in sort of August time in 2014. And Benicio del Toro is in that film as a character called the Collector. Now, the Collector is a character in the comic books. I'm not massively familiar with these comics, but I have actually read this one. So when they introduced it, I knew exactly who this guy was. In the comics, there's this character called Thanos. This is who Thanos is in the comics. He's been in like a few. You see him in the end of the Avengers after the credits. He was behind the attack on New York in the Avengers, and you only see him sort of in the end credits. In fact, I might even include the clip here.
To challenge them is to court death.
In the comics, Thanos collects these Infinity Stones, and there's 6 of them, and he puts them all together. He creates this thing called the Infinity Gauntlet, which when he puts it on, he becomes like, he can control reality and time, and he's the ultimate badass basically, and he just wipes out half the universe literally with a click of his finger, literally. This is the Infinity Gauntlet. It comes kind of, I'm a bit of a geek, so I've got stuff like this in my collection, but this is the Infinity Gauntlet. You can probably see he's got these like stones on it, the Infinity Stones, and there's 6 of them on this Infinity Gauntlet. But there was a story before the Infinity Gauntlet graphic novel where it's in this one that you can get, and when he gathers these Infinity Stones, he does it by conning the 6 owners of the stones, one of which is the Collector that you see at the end of Thor in the end credits. This is the bit with the Collector, but he cons them all, tricks them to collect these stones, puts them together in the Infinity Gauntlet, and then does his thing. It's a bit complicated, I'm not going to go into it too much, but that's who the Collector is anyway. He was a character from the series Thanos' Quest, where he puts the Infinity Gauntlet together. This was a series of graphic novels in the 90s, and so this is where they're going basically with all these Marvel films. You're going to have Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet at some point. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, how close are they going to do it to the comics, but Thanos is a pretty bad guy. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever seen in a comic book. The amount of stuff he does, he kills half the universe. He's obsessed with death. Death is actually a character in the Marvel universe. It's a female, and he's in love with Death. So to impress her, he as this click of the finger, kills half the universe because he's wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, so he can do that. And then the rest of the Avengers kind of like fight him. He does quite a few things like Wolverine. He turns his adamantium skeleton into sponge in the graphic novels. He rips Iron Man's head off. Does loads of stuff like that. I think he strangles the Hulk at one point as well because he's that strong. But there's plenty of stuff on about Thanos. So if you want to look that up, other people can probably do a better explanation than I can. But so that's what's in the end credits anyway. These guys giving the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro, one of the Infinity Stones to look after. So I'm assuming that when Thanos comes into it properly, there's going to be a storyline where he cons these stones off people. One of them being the Collector, who we know now has one of the stones. I'm sure there's a reference from the film Snatch in there about Benicio del Toro and stones.
Where is the stone?
Other than that, oh yeah, he does say something along the lines of, was it 1 down, 5 to go, as in like 5 more stones to go. So I don't know if the Collector, I don't know what his plot's going to be, but it's interesting. Probably doesn't make any sense, all this that I've explained. I've tried my best, I've just kind of rambled about it. But if you're interested, if you want to read any of these about Thanos, if you want to know who the character is, I'd recommend these 3 graphic novels. There's Avengers vs. Thanos, which kind of covers a lot of his stories from from the 60s when he first appeared in Iron Man. And then he came back in the 90s. You can get this Silver Surfer Rebirth of Thanos. That's the one, like I say, where he's collecting these Infinity Gems, Infinity Stones, Soul Gems. It kind of go by different names. In that one, so that's when he puts the gauntlet together, and then this is when he uses the gauntlet, and the Avengers kind of fight him off at the end of it. So 3 good graphic novels to read anyway. So if you want to get an idea of what's coming up in these films, those are the ones to get. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I've kind of rambled on about these, but the film itself is very good, and I would recommend you go see it. I went to see it in 3D, the effects were quite good as well. A couple of people I went to see it with also said they thought the effects, the 3D visuals were quite good. I'm not a big fan of 3D, but we went anyway. What can I say? It was EE 2 for 1, so you still get a discount on 3D films, so bollocks to it. Anyway, that's my review. I hope you look forward to seeing it. If you're watching this in America, I think you get it in about a week's time, so enjoy the film. Thank you very much.
Cross the rainbow.